Hi, everyone. So I think I have everything figured out on sharing this screen. We had some challenges last week. And this Monday, we're going to be talking about trust and distrust. Are you really feeling like you trust or distrust the conversations that you're having with others? What's that feeling? What's it look like? And why do you feel that way? So for those of you who haven't met me, I am Cheryl Piper, Ascended Unity. You're only one thought away. And my only job is to help you discover those things that are holding you back from the past, learning to let them go so you can move forward with a positive life and making positive decisions for your future. So just let me know you're out there. Do some likes, some wows, love the wows. Put some comments in. I do need to do a little bit of housekeeping here, as this is my first time actually getting this share screen to work. And as you can see, we're going to be talking about priming for trust. So just take a second here to push this over, and then we will be ready to go. Okay. So again, we're going to be talking about priming for trust. And as you can see, what I have shared with you here on the screen is this is the dashboard, that conversational dashboard that I talked with you about last Wednesday. And I was not able to show this, and I tried my best to describe it. And hopefully now that you see it, I did a good job with that. As you can see over here on the left side in the red, this is the resistor area that we discussed. And this is very, you can see here, I'm kind of moving around it. This is very eye-centric. And hi, Melissa, thanks for joining. Hope you have fun in Vegas. This is very eye-centric. This is all about in that fear space and thinking about me, and how can I protect, and how can I get one up on someone before they get one up on me. It's very eye-centric. And so you can see that if we're in that space, we're in that resistor area. Very low trust, as you can see here on the chart, where I'm kind of hovering my my little area. And then if you start to move up toward the area of trust, you'll see that you move into skeptic. And then we move into what's called wait and see, which is, you can see it's called conditional trust. Moving in then to experimenter, which is really starting to open that prefrontal cortex. And it's that space where you're thinking, well, what if we tried this? And what would it look like if we tried this? And so you're willing to experiment into a new idea. And then, of course, moving all the way over to green, to high trust in the area of co-creator. And this is where we really have that oxytocin flowing in that creative space. Our imagination's really lively, and just really co-creating with the conversations that we're having with others. And you can see this is a very we-centric place as I'm hovering around the word we. And so in looking all the way across the spectrum of the conversational dashboard, when we're in a state of distrust, it's very eye-centric. We've got the cortisol flowing, as we discussed earlier, as far as what those conversational cocktails are about. That cocktail and what's going on when we're having a conversation. Your brain is actually mixing a cocktail of neurochemicals. And so over here, and I'm just going to keep it simple with on this side, the I side of the spectrum, resistor, skeptic, that's where we have cortisol flowing. And we're really in that state of distrust, protect, a lot of fear going on there. and just not really being able to open or broaden our thinking into co-creator or this we-centric space. And so when we're in co-creator and thinking in this we space, we have the oxytocin flowing. And as I said before, I call this a love drug. This is the neurochemical that flows through us when we do something kind for someone, when we're kind, when we're compassionate, when we're sending love. And we all know what that feels like. I mean, just me sitting here talking to you about it right now, I can feel it flowing through me because I'm in that space of co-creating with you. I'm in that space of sharing, of being transparent and open with you. So let's look down here a little bit. I think I described these pretty well. I'm looking as far as the descriptions. I did not mention the amygdala hijack. And when we're in that resistor state, all the way over in eccentric, that is where we go into that amygdala hijack. And that is the part of the brain that is there to protect us. It's a primitive area of the brain that lets us know there's a threat, that something's just not right, and that we need to protect. This is the area where we will do, as you can see down here, fight, flight, freeze, appease. We're going to do one of these 4 things when we're in that amygdala hijack, because it's a fear state and it's a protect mode. And so whatever seems appropriate for that situation, whether it's to fight, whether it's to flee, whether it's to appease, or maybe it could be just to freeze. How many times have we been in those situations where we just freeze and we can't even think what to say next? And I like to tell a story about, we've all been in those situations where we've had perhaps, I guess you could call it a confrontation, where someone is just really, coming at us and not being kind. We get completely thrown in to that amygdala hijack. That fear mode takes over and we just kind of freeze. And later on, and I know we've all been here, later on you're thinking, well, I should have said this and I should have said that. And of course, because in that moment, we're more over here in this space. Our prefrontal cortex is back to being engaged. Hi, Tasha, good to see you. Thanks for joining. So when we're in that space, as I was saying, of someone coming at us and speaking to us in a way that's not kind, throws us completely into that amygdala hijack of fear. We're going to do those things of fight, flight, freeze, or appease. And so if we freeze and we can't think of what to say, then of course when we're out of that situation and our prefrontal cortex is more open and we can think more clearly, then we can say, well, wow, I should have said this, or I should have said that, or why did I not say anything? And that's what I'm really trying to work on with this chart in showing everyone is you really weren't able to. You're in that space of resistor or skeptic, or you're being thrown into that complete amygdala hijack of fear, of distrust. And when you're in that space, you're not able to access that part of the brain that has that creative thought, that can think really quickly and have those type of responses. So what's really important, and I like to talk about with moving from distrust to trust, is starting to open up that level of thought so that we can move more into the space of trust. And in that, we have more creative conversations with people and understanding. Looking here at the chart, You can see on the left side where it's talking about the distrust and the amygdala hijack. And then, of course, moving over to the right in the green, where it's talking about trust, and it's talking about how that opens up our prefrontal cortex so that we can access, that area of empathy, of judgment to situations. And I'm not talking about being judgmental. You're going to find that over here in the left side, in the red side, in the resistor side, talking about making clear, clean judgments for situations as to what's the best way to move forward. So all of those things are important with this conversational dashboard. And that's why I really wanted you to be able to see it last week when we were having our conversation. Hopefully I explained it in a way. Oh, I just want to, give some likes here. I've got some people making some comments. And, oh, thanks so much, Melissa. Thanks so much. And thanks, Tosh. Okay, so let's move back to this chart. And as you can see at the top too, we have the areas of the brain that I went over before. I've gone over this in a couple of our conversations, but looking at the primitive brain, or this amygdala area, which is in the limbic system, and then moving all the way over to the prefrontal cortex. And this is, it really is the newest part of our brain. It's called the executive brain. And so this is the area where we do find that co-creating, our imagination, we have inspired thought. When we're open and have that oxytocin flowing through us, we really are in that space where inspiration can just be dropped right down into us. And I know you've been there. We've all been there, where we're having this great conversation with someone. We're really, I guess it's the oxytocin. That's probably the best word. It's really flowing. The energy's really flowing. And we're just coming up with so many ideas. And all of a sudden, this wow idea just gets dropped right down inside of you. And that's inspired thought. And so having that inspiration open to us is in this area. And so when we go into an amygdala hijack and we're down there in that fear space of distrust, those type of things aren't really open to us. And a good way, I like to talk about it as far as, say we get out of bed, because boy, when we get the momentum going, let's say we wake up in the morning. Well, first of all, the alarm didn't go off, okay? And so it's a little bit late. We're going to be late. And then we go to jump out of bed and we stub our toe. And, then, things just start, going on. Hi, Becky, thanks for joining. And things just start going wrong. You have one thing happening after another that's creating this momentum. And so when you have these negative things happening and you have more thought like that, oh my goodness, what's going to happen now? What's going on now? What's going to be next? Can this day get any worse? Any of these type of thoughts, you're really creating a momentum behind that negative space, and for you to be moving through the day like that. And I should say dragging through the day like that, because when days like that are over, you're thinking, oh my goodness, I'm so glad to be home. I'm glad this day's over, and tomorrow let's just have a better day. My tagline is, you're only one thought away. And there's a reason for that, because when we're in this space of creating that negative momentum behind our day by having the one negative thought, the next negative thought, the next negative thought, by the time we get to the third or fourth negative thought or thing that happens, we've really got some momentum going. It's a little bit harder to bring ourselves back to the positive. But when we realize what's going on in the brain, and we realize that we're having an amygdala hijack, and we're being thrown into this space of negativity, this space of fear, this space of distrust, when we realize what's going on and that we really are only one thought away, this is where all the power is. that we can change that day simply by changing our thought, by saying, you know what, no, that's not true. I'm not going to think that way. I'm going to turn this around. And the best, I can't stress this enough, the best way to do that is to find something to be grateful for. Because when we can step into that space of gratitude, just think about it right now. I really just want you to think about something that you're grateful for. And you can feel that feeling come over you, where it's a slight shift in your energy. And that's all you need, is that slight shift in that thought pattern, that slight shift in that energy. And I'm going to bring you back to the chart that we're talking about. And you are going to move up that chart. You're going to be opening up your prefrontal cortex to be able to step into creative thought, to be able to step into co-creating with others, to be able to step into having a positive day. And then you're going to create that momentum behind you. And wouldn't you rather create that momentum? Because once you get a positive thought, and then you have another positive thought coming behind that, and another positive thought coming behind that, then you have that momentum going for your day. And that's what we want, to be in that creative space. And just understanding what's going on in the brain. And that's what's really going to help us to be able to pull ourselves out of that and have more constructive conversations, to be able to communicate with those people around you, whether it's your coworkers, it's your family, it's your spouse, it's your friends, it's just somebody you meet on the street and you just smile and say hello. You're going to be in a co-creating space with them. And understanding this also helps you when you're speaking with someone and perhaps they're in a resistor space, or they're in a skeptic space, or the wait and see, helps you to be able to ask questions. We talked about double clicking last week. We talked about, oh yeah, great, Tosh, thank you so much. And we talked about that double clicking. And what double clicking is when someone makes a statement, instead of assuming that you know what they're talking about, think about your mouse with your computer when you double click. When you double click on a folder, what happens? It opens up and there's more information. And then when you double click again, it opens up and there's more information. And so by double clicking on something that someone says to us in a conversation, it can really open up more thought about what they're really thinking. Instead of us thinking we know what they're talking about, let's double click on those statements and really see if we know what they're talking about, and really listen to connect with others. Because so many times we could be in a space where we want to listen just to be right. Once again, let's come back to the chart. That puts us over here in resistor. That puts us over here in skeptic. And I'm not saying that it's never good to be in this space, because, we do need to question things sometimes. We do need to move into the skeptic area sometimes. And then we can move up into wait and see when those questions are answered that help us to understand more what that person's talking about. And the same goes for you when you're having a conversation. When someone's in skeptic mode, it doesn't necessarily mean that they don't want to listen to you. When they're in resistor mode, it doesn't mean that they don't want to listen to you. It simply means that there are certain things that need to be answered for them before they can open up to that level of thought that you're talking about. And that maybe you guys can step into experimenter and see what that may look like if you had this thought, or what may it look like if we did this. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. I'm not really sure how long. Wow. Okay. I like to keep this at 15 minutes and I've been going for almost 20. So just want to invite you again. I'm going to put a link in the post for conversational cocktails, because I am having a webinar this Friday, and we will be talking about much more about conversations and how you can move into clear conversation and communication with those around you. So again, I'm Cheryl Piper with Ascended Unity. You can find me at cherylpiper.com. You can find me on Facebook, which you've already found me, but pass that along, at Cheryl Piper Sends Love. And thank you so much for joining me. I will see you on Wednesday at 1. I'll be back, and we'll be talking about some more things with conversation. Again, hope you join me on the webinar Friday. I'll put the link in the post. Thanks so much. Bye.